Northbound Tribuco, just getting onto Culver Drive, right near the 5 freeway. Apparently, the suspect is wanted in a stolen vehicle. We're hearing. We're trying to get that confirmed. It looks like a white subcompact SUV. You can see there, right on the right side of your screen. Santa Ana PD has been in pursuit probably for about 30 minutes now. That we understand the male suspect is the driver, and there is a female passenger along with that suspect. Now, for a second, officers did go into what's called tracking mode, but we do see the black and whites that are right behind them right now. Looks like we possibly are getting back southbound on the 5 freeway through the area as he temporarily got off the freeway. But high speeds right now to the point where officers went into that tracking mode. You can see him changing lanes quite abruptly here on the southbound 5 in the number 3 lane. Speeds varying from 55 to 65 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour, maybe even faster at this point right now that he's on the freeway. But going on for quite some time, David and Alan, you can see him cutting off that car, getting into that carpool lane. Wanted for a stolen vehicle. Again, we'll try to get a better make and model of that vehicle. But 2 occupants right now in this pursuit that's been going on for about 30 to 45 minutes.
JT, we've been watching this for quite some time, monitoring the situation. We understand that this car, as you said, has been very reckless, using a lot of parking lots, cutting through parking lots, a couple of times driving on the wrong side of the road. And we're even getting word that perhaps, we don't know for sure, but they might have tried to spike strip this vehicle, but clearly unsuccessfully if they did. Nevertheless, they seem to be staying near this same area, Irvine or so, and a couple of specific streets. One is Red Hill. So as we often see when it comes to these pursuits, these suspects don't seem to want to go very far from the area that they're familiar with.
Yeah, David, for a long time, the suspect was driving around on the surface streets in the area of Irvine, obviously Santa Ana, who is the primary agency, and Tustin. But now it seems that he's contented getting on the freeway. But again, he went down southbound on the freeway, got off at Jamboree, and then got right back on that northbound freeway, and then got off at Culver. So going back and forth on the freeway has been something that he has been doing quite often here. It's interesting to see what his tactic's going to be if he continues southbound, going maybe a little further than he just did a minute ago. We've been over the pursuit for probably about 10 minutes now, so we haven't seen any of that spike strip activity or any pursuit intervention technique so far, but you can see the speeds are, we're clocking them here near 7, probably at about 75, 85 miles an hour right now as he approaches on the southbound 5 coming up to the 133.
All right, we're going to continue to watch this as he continues to fly, again, down the 5 freeway in the carpool lane, but not a lot of traffic out there right now. But as you can see, compared to the other vehicles who are probably moving at a pretty good clip, this guy's really flying. Luckily, he is not on surface streets because, from what I understand, he was really reckless on surface streets. But there he goes, heading down the 5 freeway and just going where we don't know.
Right. Yeah, we're coming up on the El Toro Y here, southbound 5, just past the 133, coming up on where the 5 and the 405 to come together in the Irvine Spectrum Center. You can see he's making his way over to the right. Yeah, we understand that he was quite reckless on the surface street, so maybe a good thing that he's on the freeway right now. And you can see those abrupt and erratic lane changes. You can see that weight, that momentum of that vehicle shifting back and forth as he tries to make those lane changes. That's never a good sign, especially at these speeds. It's very possible he could lose control. But now we're over in the right lane as we pass through the interchange. Speeds varying probably about 65, 75, but very dangerous passing these vehicles, extremely high rate of speed. He could be setting up to get off, possibly in the area. We'll get you straight here in a second. Possibly in the area near the Spectrum Center Drive. We'll give you an idea.
We have some information now. This coming from Santa Ana PD that this is a RAV4, 2015 RAV4. They've really got this thing moving. So it's basically a small SUV.
We've certainly seen him drive erratically. Now he's going over to the left-hand shoulder, the carpool lane. And certainly he's picked up speeds in the last few minutes since we've been watching. And those things are pretty scary when you go fast speeds. It can certainly lose control.
JT, did you say the CHP now is on the pursuit behind him, or is it like previously the Santa Ana PD?
Well, we're going to pull out a little bit and see if there are any black and whites behind him. We believe that's CHP. We can always tell it's CHP because that rear door is blacked out. It is not white. So the rear door of that CHP SUV is the one on pursuit. It looks like Santa Ana PD may have taken it, thrown it over to California Highway Patrol since it's been on the freeways. We'll see if that continues if it gets on surface streets at this point. But the initializing agency in the pursuit, Santa Ana PD, were the one that initialized the pursuit, just handed over to the CHP as we continue southbound. Now we're coming up on the 405. There's the 405 El Toro Y as we continue southbound. Speed's about 75 right now, 75, 85 miles an hour, we'd say, but very erratic, going from the right lane to the left lane. We were able to get a closer look with our camera here in Air 7 HD, and it appears that the driver is the male suspect and the female is the passenger here. We have to go around a helicopter that just got in front of us here, so we're going to go around them. But as they continue here southbound, the speeds, we're looking ahead, and we're getting into a little pocket of traffic here where the 405 merges into the 5. We got near miss there. As you can see, the traffic starting to slow down. So he's going to choose to take that slow lane, that emergency right shoulder here to continue this pursuit and try to avoid some of this congestion. As we're looking ahead, it's looking at about 3 or 4 miles, and it's pretty congested here on the southbound 5.
It looks like it's really picked up the traffic there, and now he looks like he's just going, whoa, now where is he going now?
I think that's a carpool lanes or a bus lane or something. Oh, no, he's exiting.
Well, we're going to pull out. He looks like he's making an exit here. I think this is Lake Forest Drive here as he makes the exit off at Lake Forest Drive. We'll see which way he goes on Lake Forest Drive, and it looks like he's going to be going westbound on Lake Forest Drive from the 5 freeway here.
And back to surface streets, and that's when it gets pretty dangerous, because we've seen this guy drive very dangerously, erratically, very quickly, and on surface streets it becomes much more dangerous, pedestrians, and especially this time of afternoon.
Well, I understand that there were a couple of near misses with pedestrians. He's now in Laguna Woods, so the folks in Laguna, beware. This pursuit is going on. Oh, now Lake Forest. I'm being corrected. Lake Forest he is now in. And this is when it gets really tricky, really dangerous, when we see him flying through these surface streets. People don't see him coming. Not a lot of reaction time, JT.
Yeah, it looks like CHP is actually backing off the pursuit right now. He is on Research Drive, which is an industrial area just on the west side of the 5 freeway here. Look at those speeds, though. Yeah. We're looking at speeds of 75, 85 miles an hour as he continues here. Maybe that's Irvine Center Drive. We're trying to verify that now. But look at those speeds. Very, very dangerous here. We're gonna widen out just a little bit and lead him a little bit, because if he comes to an intersection here, we want to make sure that we catch it. Those speeds, if there is a wreck, we want to make sure that we're able not to be too close. We don't want to be too graphic here. As he comes up on a T intersection, we think this is Bake Parkway. We'll have to verify that as he is continuing northbound on what we believe is Irvine Center Drive here, coming back up to where the 405 and the 5 meet. It looks like he's trying to meet back up here with the 405 freeway. We'll see what he does.
Yeah, apparently, the Santa Ana Police Department pulled their units from the pursuit when he started going 90 miles an hour on surface streets. That's according to Greg Lee, getting his information from Santa Ana Police Department. But 90 miles an hour on surface streets. For
our viewers, they often pull off the ground units, basically the vehicles on the ground. They back them up so the suspect doesn't feel the pressure to keep going so fast, because it's such a dangerous situation, especially for the public that's around him. So they'll track him, right, JT, with a helicopter.
Right.
They don't let him go. They stay with him, but they pull the ground units off.
Yeah, what they do, that they try to get the suspect. The suspect looks in the rearview mirror and sees if there's no black and whites behind him. Sometimes they'll slow down and maybe realize they're in the clear, get out of the vehicle, and then as we get back on the southbound 405 from Irvine Spectrum Drive here, they'll try to back off the pursuit a little bit and see if he'll give it up or slow down. This has not been the case with this suspect in this vehicle. Every time they've backed up, he's actually picked up speed. So that can have the reverse effect for officers want here. As we come back on the southbound on the 405, we are approaching the 5 freeway back at the El Toro Y. So that has not been the situation. We understand that CHP did take it over from Santa Ana. I'm not sure if they've re-engaged now that he's back on the highway, but it looks like we're going to get right back off the freeway here, or that may be the interchange. We're not sure if that's an off-ramp or an interchange. It may be the same off-ramp that gets him off at Bake Parkway here, right near the El Toro Y.
And yeah, that's when we've seen a couple of those near misses as he just gets right in between cars and on the shoulder of the road.
Luckily, so far, people have been aware and have, like that person right there, just slowed down just in the nick of time. Otherwise, he was trying to sandwich himself between two cars, squeezing through there, and it looks like he's coming across some more traffic, JT.
Yeah, we're back on the southbound 5 here. The 405 actually dumps into the 5 here, the El Toro Y. So we're right back where we were just a few minutes ago. We look like we're going a little bit further south here, coming up on Lake Forest Drive on the southbound 5. But you see those erratic moves that he's making, those very wide and fast lane changes, trying to maybe trick the officers to think that he's going to not take something or take a different lane and try to trick them. Well, that's not going to work, especially with CHP. They have such good tactics in pursuit as he takes that right shoulder here, that emergency lane, to try to get sweeps through some of that traffic that we saw earlier, turning back up. But look at that. See, that's a very high center of gravity vehicle, that SUV, and doing those moves are very dangerous. And if it loses control, we're going to be able to see that.
Certainly,
it looks like we're going to be right back off, guys, at Lake Forest Drive, the same place that we just exited here. We'll see if he goes westbound again. It looks like he set up for a westbound turn on the off-ramp here at Lake Forest Drive from the 5 freeway. We'll see if he does that same route again.
Certainly has a lot more traffic to deal with now as he's going to try to maneuver through these cars. It's almost like a parking lot right now.
So if you're just tuning in, we understand that there is a male driver, at least a female passenger. Any more than that, JT? I know there was some suspicion that this car might have had a number of people in it, but now they're pretty sure it's a male and a female?
Yeah, it's uncertain to see. Well, he's going to make that right turn, but now he's continuing back. It looks like he's going to continue southbound back on Avenida de la Carlota here. But we're going to come back southbound, Dane, here. He's got him. But it's hard to see in that back seat, guys, because the windows appear to be a little bit tinted here, so it's difficult to see. We definitely saw the passenger. We definitely saw the driver. And from our understanding, the police department is only reporting that there are 2 people in the vehicle at this time, but sometimes it's really difficult to tell, especially from their vantage point, if there's more than one. Believe we're on again Avenida de Carlota, which parallels the 5 freeway on the west side going southbound here. Uncertain what he's going to look like. He's coming up on Ridge Route Drive here coming up in the Laguna Hills area, just a little further south. So southern Irvine area as we make our way into Laguna Hills.
Bad enough driving like that, but being a passenger in that car, can you imagine? That is some close calls.
Wrong side of the road.
Yep.
Not a good thing. Head-on traffic up ahead here. David and Ellen, sorry to interrupt, but doing some very evasive, dangerous driving here right now on Avenida de la Carta going southbound.
Yeah, in the middle of the Thursday afternoon commute where there's a number of people on the freeways, but luckily so far no mishaps just yet, but he is moving at a rapid rate of speed, been on surface streets as well as freeways, basically circling pretty much the same general area. We believe that this is some sort of a stolen vehicle pursuit, 2015 RAV4, that is that white SUV that you're looking at right in the middle of your screen.
It looks like he's coming up on Avenue de la Carta is the street he's on. It appears he's coming up on Paseo de Valencia, and El Toro Road is the major just after that. But the intersection he's stuck in right now is Avenida. We're going to pull out, Rob, just to see if there's any black and whites directly behind him, and it doesn't appear to be. So right now, it looks like they're in the tracking mode. We don't see any black and whites right behind him, but that hasn't slowed him down at all, so they may consider re-engaging the pursuit. There's a supervisor in charge of this pursuit that's not only watching us, but listening to that helicopter, trying to figure out and make the best case decision they can, balancing the fact that getting this suspect in custody and the safety at large of the public. Right now, that's what's happening. And when they feel it's important to re-engage this pursuit, turn that emergency equipment, those lights and sirens on to let everybody know the suspect is coming, they will re-engage. But right now, that has not happened. We do not see any black and whites directly behind this pursuit.
Yes, David was saying, it's sometimes when they drive so quickly and erratically, it gets a little more dangerous.
Into a shopping center.
Them.
Oh, that's a shopping center. Okay. He's
a little tricky maneuver there.
Yeah, from what we understand, early parts of this pursuit, the first few minutes, this driver was going into a number of different parking lots, cutting through these parking lots. And as we all know, parking lots are tricky because there are people walking everywhere, cars driving slowly, and you're certainly not looking for a high-speed pursuit to go through the parking lot that you're hanging in. That one is pretty empty, though.
Yeah, this is Laguna Hills Mall, apparently.
Right, and you can see there's it looks to be a little bit of a carnival here. And you know how parking lots are even dangerous at slow speeds. You can imagine at fast speeds, you just don't know what other cars are going to do in parking lots. You can see he's coming around this area. It looks like there might be a small carnival in the area setting up for the weekend. You can see the Orange County Sheriff's Department down low here in Laguna Hills Mall area. But right now, it's slowing down a little bit, maybe trying to do what's called clean up, trying to get into area and see if he's got any himself behind him. So this is usually an opportunity when they think they're in the clear and they're driving slowly. This may be an opportunity where the suspect may exit the vehicle and start running. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. And if the suspects run, the air units usually stay with the driver, especially in this type of a crime. So we're going to stay with the driver as well, and hopefully the female will stay in the vehicle. But right now, in the parking lot still, Laguna Hills Mall, as they make their way out, and we'll try to give you a better street here in a second.
Yeah, he may want to run into a mall. We've seen that before in pursuits where people think that they could run into a mall and try to mix with all the people that are in the mall and find a way out. It is confusing for law enforcement. So what do they do if he does that, JT?
Well, what they try to do is you've got the air unit overhead, and they make a really good observation of the clothing that they're wearing, even though sometimes they will try to switch clothing. There's certain tactics and techniques the air crews, the tactical flight officer, will use to try to identify that suspect, obviously by their hair color, maybe shoes, something that they know they may not switch out. But obviously if they go into a mall, that is a completely different story. They've got lots of options there. But they're usually pretty good at getting units into the area very quickly. Getting units into the area very quickly to try to get to that area, and then we'll talk to people. They will talk to people and say, hey, which way did he go? And they'll try to get to him. And they're going to go between the buildings here, so we're going to try to get close on this. He's going into a parking structure here underneath. So what we're going to do is we're going to circle up here, and we're going to stay wide here, and we're going to watch this, because it did go into a parking structure. So you can be guaranteed that the officers are going to set up. You can see CHP setting up a containment, setting up a perimeter around that parking garage to make sure, in fact, they passed it up here. So they're going to watch that exit on the left there, Rob. We want to make sure he doesn't come out that side on the left. So we're going to keep a fairly wide shot here, because we don't want to be too tight and miss the suspect coming out any one of these exits. But the parking structure you see right there with the parking lot on the roof, that's where the suspect was last seen in there. We're going to keep it a little tighter over here, Dane, a little bit tighter here. And to the left, Rob, I think it's that smaller parking structure is the one we're looking at. And you can see that I think that might be Huntington Beach down low.
I think we're getting word that this might be Saddleback Medical Center.
Is what we're hearing. Right?
Yeah.
You can see CHP. They're setting up the containment. That CHP officers are setting up on that side. They're going to lock this thing down, and you can see him running into that area or trying to. Maybe that is Orange County Sheriff's, not CHP. They'll get multiple units around this parking structure trying to lock it down, because again, he was last seen in that area. We did not see anybody exit, but we're gonna try to keep orbiting here if we can, Dane, so we can keep an eye on all exits here.
Exactly. They they can't get away if they can cover all the exits. They're a pretty large building, that Saddleback Medical Center.
But the problem with him going into a parking structure is we don't, and perhaps law enforcement doesn't get a good look at what the suspect looks like.
Well, you see that motor unit that just came out, David and Alan. We're getting reports now, still unconfirmed, that the vehicle has been abandoned, and it is in the parking lot there in a handicap spot. That motor officer is driving through that parking structure trying to find the suspects who are now on foot. And unfortunately, they did not get a look at the suspects exiting the vehicle. So right now, the idea is just to take anybody into custody they see, hold them for questioning. We're understanding that it's possibly a male with a shaved head is what we're hearing. The clothing description yet to come out. But he was last seen exiting. That's where he went in, right to that driveway right there, right, that underground parking. That's where the suspect was last seen driving that white Toyota RAV4 2015 into the area. The female was described as having long, dark hair, and that's what they're looking. You see that motor officer we saw who went at the bottom, and she was about 20 years old, is what's saying. You're seeing the motor officer in there checking the rooftop. So it remains to be seen where the suspects may be seen at this time. So they are locking down this neighborhood. If they went in the offices, they're going to make sure that anybody going in or out of these buildings are thoroughly checked to get these suspects in custody.
Certainly going to slow down all those people that have doctor's appointments, or the doctor's trying to leave for the day. So it's going to be quite a hassle for them.
I wonder if this parking structure is actually connected to the medical building,
right.
And if so, did they run into that building? And if they did, then what's the next procedure to go through?
Well, David and Al, what they're going to do is, you can see that larger parking structure. They're going to do a perimeter or a containment. They're going to lock down all these buildings you see. They're not going to contain it just to that parking garage, because it's hard to say. They don't know when they actually exited that vehicle. My guess is they probably abandoned it very quickly and started working their way through this larger structure. So you can see that unit at the bottom of your screen, Rob. You can show them. You can see they're setting up a very large perimeter containment that's going to lock down this entire area, and they're going to try to make sure that they set up a large perimeter. They can always scale it down and tighten it up, but this time they want to stay very, very wide and try to contain it as much as they can to keep these suspects within this area.
So what happens when somebody wants to leave this medical center? They've finished their business and they just want to get out. Are they going to be delayed, and if so, delayed significantly?
Well, I would assume so, David. It just depends on how much good information. Again, we got pretty vague descriptions of the suspect, and that's based on what officers saw in the vehicle. Again, a male with a shaved head and a female with long, dark hair in her 20s. That's not a really good description, especially with no clothing. So they're going to talk to people. They're going to see if anybody saw anybody run through very suspiciously. So that's what they're going to try to do. You can see the sheriffs are talking with CHP and other agencies in the area. Sharing information is very, very important, so they can make sure that they can try to identify these suspects. But yeah, I would assume that everybody's going to be extremely delayed here unless they come out or they find them hiding somewhere in here. But I think this is one of those situations, unfortunately, we just talked about, that they're going to try to blend into the area and try to fit in with the rest of the patients or staff in this area.
Yeah, they're going to have to try to question every single car that tries to leave that parking lot.
As long as they can continue movement, though, it would be awful if everybody has to lock down and just wait. That would be even tougher. If they can check it car by car, at least that there is some progress there.
Yeah.
And now that there is a slight description, even though, as JT said, it's not the greatest description out there, but I'm sure a lot of people will not meet that description. If they can search their cars, let them go, perhaps that will at least alleviate some of the pressure on getting rid of some of the people that might be stuck there.
Yeah, and you can be assured, too, guys, that they're going to bring in canine, and they're going to do what's called the canine walkthrough. And when people run and they have adrenaline pumping and they're scared, the canines, that's what they're trained to sense. They're trained to sense that, smell that fear scent. So running a dog through that garage and try to get some kind of a trailer where the suspects were last seen, that might be helpful. But you can see there's still a lot of holes, what they call holes in this perimeter. They got to get a lot of units here to cover mid-block, cover the corners. This is a very large area, Saddleback Hospital here. A lot of nooks and crannies and parking lots. This is an extremely large area. Now, it may come down to this, right? This is a stolen vehicle suspect. We have a stolen vehicle felony. We got felony evading. I'm not sure what other crimes are involved, but they may look at this and go, if they have information of who the suspect was, possibly, if this was a stolen vehicle, it may have been someone who knew someone that took the vehicle without permission. There could be a lot of circumstances that are prevalent in this case where they might know who it is. It might be a named suspect, and at that time they'd say, you know what, we'll get him another time. We know where they live, but it's uncertain if that's the case or not. We're just trying to throw out some information, but right now this would be an extremely large perimeter and take extreme amount of time to get a stolen vehicle, a suspect. They may assess that if this is really tying up all these people and tying up this area for that long a time, if it's really worth it. But we'll see. We'll see what they're wanting for. They may have a lot more information that we don't know.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, JT. Mark Brown, along with Michelle Tuzzi. This is Eyewitness News at 5. We are taking over coverage of this police pursuit in Orange County that began during Eyewitness News at 4. We watched it all unfold along with all of you at home, and you, JT, in the air. And now this suspect with one passenger, a female, has gone into this parking structure in Laguna Woods. It's Saddleback Medical Center, and that is where a police perimeter has been set up with elements of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, the CHP, and other agencies taking part both in the air and on the ground trying to bring this person to heel, who was apparently at the wheel of that stolen SUV. And they have taken this tactical move that has worked so far. They are not in custody yet that we know of, driving into that parking structure and then taking off on foot. Into where, we don't know yet. There's a medical building there, at least several, that are in some way connected to that parking garage. And that is the conundrum. The problem for the officers now is what to do and how to get this person and bring them into custody. There are some tactics that JT Alpon mentioned that they are able to bring to bear here, including using a canine unit to try to track the person. But so far, they are still at large. Michelle?
Yeah, JT, are you with us right now? I had a question for you, if you are.
Yeah, Mark and Michelle, we're still with you.
Okay, so JT, what happens when a pursuit goes into a parking garage? What about the people who may be trying to leave that parking garage? Will they be checked? Are they able to quickly set up a perimeter in order to check people as they come out?
Yeah, they're going to lock down this entire area, and you can be assured that the Watch Commander and the Air Support Division, the air units overhead, are going to say, lock down this perimeter, lock down all these buildings, nobody in, nobody out, and they're going to talk, and they're going to look very carefully at everybody that comes in, or more importantly, comes out of this containment. But you can see, we're going to pull wide here, Rob, and just show you how wide this area is. That whole entire block there of the hospital is completely locked down. A lot of buildings, we're probably can be safe to say that more in the buildings here in that corner there where they were the last seen. But yeah, they're going to question everybody. We're getting some more information that possibly the suspect, again, a male white with a shaved head, last seen wearing a white shirt and blue jeans. So we're getting a little bit more information, but part of the problem in what is a conundrum for law enforcement is when they go into what's called tracking mode, and when they back the black and whites off and try to get the suspects to slow down and not drive erratically or crazy, sometimes this is what they do. They know no one's directly in back of them, so if they bail out of these vehicles, they can easily get out of the vehicles without being seen or described and kind of blend in. So that seems to be the case here, but again, that is up to the supervisor in charge of the pursuit, and they need to weigh the public safety against the urgency to get a suspect in custody for a felony. In this case, the suspect was driving extremely recklessly. They went into tracking. They did not re-engage before he pulled in this area and kind of blended in. So right now, they have recovered the vehicle, which is in that parking structure, but obviously the suspect, the male suspect, and the female passenger are nowhere to be seen as they continue the search.
All right, so we do do have a description of the suspect: white male adult, white shirt, blue jeans, shaved head. The description of the female who was in the passenger seat. We don't know whether she's an accomplice or a suspect or perhaps a hostage or just an unwitting passenger. But the fact that she's still not in custody may mean that she's in on this as well. We don't know. But her description is just a white female adult with long dark hair. Do you have anything else other than that we've been reporting?
No, that's all we have right now, Mark, and what you can assure that's probably coming from witnesses that were in the area, in that parking structure. The one good thing about it is officers are down on the ground. They're talking to anybody they can. Hey, what did you see? Did you see anything suspicious? Who was walking away here? Who was looking over their shoulder as they were? Whose head was on a swivel, if you will? That's the kind of things they're going to be talking to people that were in the area immediately following this pursuit. And they got there pretty quickly in order to talk to these people, and that's probably where they're getting most of their information from, as witnesses down at the scene. So the best thing they can do right now is exactly what they're doing, is lock it down. And as long as they have the lockdown perimeter, they've got it secured, they know the suspect is more than likely still within these buildings or still within this compound. And sooner or later, they're going to talk to more people and find out and try to piece it all together, if you will. The patrol officers at this point almost become detectives and talk to these witnesses and try to figure out where the suspects are.
Okay, JT, thank you. So far, no reports of anyone being injured in this pursuit, which is really good news considering how fast they were going on surface streets and on freeways. Now at a standstill in a parking garage, a perimeter has been set up. We will continue to monitor this situation, and we will go back to it as soon as there is a new development. In the meantime, we will go on to some other news of the day. After weeks of reports about overheating